Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayana Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Tiriyat Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Naistiki. So continuing with the discussion on Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Lila, Chapter 7, Lord Chaitanya in 5 features, text 97 onwards. So he is further glorifying Krishna name. Krishna Name Ye Ananda Sindhu Aswadana Brahmananda Tar Age Khatu Takasam. Compared to the ocean of transcendental bliss that one tastes by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, the pleasure derived from impersonal Brahman realization or Brahmananda is like the shallow water in a canal. So if bhakti or chanting is ocean, then this is just like a shallow water in a canal. In the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, it is stated, Brahmanando bhaved esha cheta prartha guni krita neti bhakti sukham bodhe parmanu tulamapi. Parmanu tulamapi. If Brahmananda, the transcendental bliss derived from understanding impersonal Brahman, were multiplied 1,000,000 times, such a quantity of Brahmananda could not compare with even an atomic portion of the pleasure relished in pure devotional service. There's no comparison. And still people talk about nirvikar and moksha and merging and this and that. There is no comparison. And pure devotional service doesn't even mean that one has to be liberated and then do the devotions. Even in this material world, performing devotional service and the bliss derived from understanding impersonal Brahman. What's the comparison? If it is multiplied 1,000,000 times, still it doesn't even come to an atomic portion of pure devotion service. Tot sakshat karanalada vishuddha di sthitasya me sukhani gosh padayante brahmani api jagadguru. My dear Lord, O Master of the universe, since I have directly seen you, my transcendental bliss has taken the shape of a great ocean. Being situated in that ocean, I now realize all of the so-called happiness to be like the water contained in the hoofprint of a calf. The transcendental bliss enjoyed in pure devotional service is like an ocean, whereas material happiness and even the happiness to be derived from the realization of impersonal Brahman are just like the water in the hoofprint of a calf. This is a verse from Hari Bhakti Sudhodaya. See, it's how devotion service is glorified. Prabhura Mishtava Keshuni Sanyasira Gana Chitta Firi Gela Kahe Madhura Vachana. After hearing Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all the Mayavadi sannyasis were moved. Their minds changed and thus they spoke with pleasing words. So this, as we know, Mahaprabhu was speaking in the house of a Brahman who had invited Mahaprabhu and all these Mayavadi sannyasis, headed by Prakashanand Saraswati. The Mayavadi sannyasis met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at Varanasi to criticize the Lord regarding his participation in the Sankirtan movement, which they did not like. This demoniac nature of opposition to the Sankirtan movement perpetually exists. As it existed in the time of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, similarly it existed long before that, even in the time of Prahlad Maharaj. He used to chant in Sankirtan, although his father did not like it, and that was the reason for the misunderstanding between the father and the son. So Prahlad Maharaj, long time before Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He used to do Sankirtan with his Gurukul voice, but Hiranyakashipu did not like it. In Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says, "Na mam dushkritino muda prapadyante narad ayaya pretagyana asrambhava." Those miscreants who are grossly foolish, who are lowest among mankind, whose knowledge is stolen by illusion, and who partake of the atheistic nature of demons, do not surrender unto me. So again, Muda, Krishna is foolish. The Mayavadi sannyasis are Asuram Bhavam Hashita, which means that they have taken the path of the Asuras or demons who do not believe in the existence of the form of the Lord. So this is Mayavadi concept. It's ultimately it's Nirakar. The Mayavadis say that the ultimate source of everything is impersonal, and in this way they deny the existence of God. Saying that there is no God is direct denial of God, and saying that God exists but has no head, leg, or hands and cannot speak, hear, or eat is a negative way of denying his existence. So this is actually an offense against Krishna. When they Mayavadi say, "Oh, he has no head, legs, or hands," it's all myth. This is what Vaishnavas follow. This is what they say. A person who cannot see is called blind. One who cannot walk is called lame. One who has no hands is called helpless. One who cannot speak is called dumb. And one who cannot hear is called deaf. The Mayavadi's proposition that God has no legs, no eyes, no ears, and no hands is an indirect way of insulting him by defining him as blind, deaf, dumb, lame, helpless, etc. Therefore, although they present themselves as great Vedantists, they're factually Mayaya Aparita Jnana. In other words, they seem to be very learned scholars, but the essence of their knowledge has been taken. So Mayaya Aparita Jnana means Maya has taken away their Jnana, the real knowledge. And they pose themselves as great Vedantists. So this is what Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam says. And sometimes people say, why you guys criticize this Advaitavadis? And this is the reason, because they don't believe in God. Impersonalist Mayavadis always try to defy Vaishnavas because Vaishnavas accept the Supreme Personality as the Supreme Cause and want to serve Him, talk with Him, and see Him. Just as the Lord is also eager to see His devotees and talk, eat, and dance with them. These personal exchanges of love do not appeal to the Mayavadi sannyasis. Therefore, the original purpose of the Mayavadi sannyasis of Benares in meeting Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was to defeat his personal conception of God. So this was the original purpose. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, however, as a preacher, turned the minds of the Mayavadi sannyasis. They were melted by the sweet words of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and thus became friendly and spoke to him also in sweet words. Similarly, all preachers will have to meet opponents, but they should not make them more inimical. Very, very important instruction. All preachers will have to meet opponents. That's definitely, it's going to happen. Because everybody has this defense shield on. And the Mayavadis or the people who follow different philosophies, especially these philosophies or the faith one has, it's very close to one's heart. And here we are trying to ask them to follow something else, logically trying to ask them. It's very difficult. They are already enemies, and if we talk with them harshly or impolitely, their enmity will merely increase. We should therefore follow in the footsteps of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as far as possible and try to convince the opposition by quoting from the Shastras and presenting the conclusion of the Acharyas. It is in this way that we should try to defeat all the enemies of the Lord. So, very important instructions for all the preachers. Ye kichu kahile tumi sab satya haya, Krishna prema sei paya, yara bhagyodaya. Dear Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, what you have said is all true. Only one who is favored by fortune attains love of Godhead. So they changed right away. Not it didn't take Mahaprabhu too long to convert them, to transform them. One who is actually very fortunate can begin Krishna consciousness as stated by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to Sri Rupa Goswami. Brahmanda Brahmita Kono Bhagyavana Jiva Guru Krishna Prasade Pai Bhakti Lata Bij. There are millions of living entities who have become conditioned by the laws of material nature. They're wandering throughout the planetary systems of this universe in different bodily forms. Among them, one who is fortunate meets a bona fide spiritual master by the grace of Krishna and comes to understand the meaning of devotional service. By discharging devotional service under the direction of the bona fide spiritual master or Acharya, he develops love of Godhead. One whose love of Godhead, Krishna Prem, is awakened and who thus becomes a devotee of the inconceivable Supreme Personality of Godhead is to be considered extremely fortunate. Mayavadi sannyasis admitted this fact to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It's not easy for one to become a Krishna conscious person. But by the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, it can be possible, as will be proven in the course of this narration. So one who is very fortunate, and fortune is not by chance. Nothing is by chance. Everything is dependent on something. So a jiva comes in contact with the bona fide spiritual master by the grace of Krishna, depending upon his agyat sukriti. And then it is up to him to take it up seriously or remain deep about it. Hum nahi sudhrenge. It's all up to him. But Guru Krishna Prasade Pai Bhakti Lata Bij. And another aspect to understand that this Bhakti Lata Bij, actually every devotee, Jivere Swarupa Krishna Nityadas. So how can we say Bhakti Lata Bij is put in by the Guru or Krishna? So they put in, or Guru, especially Guru and devotees, they put in the desire to take up devotional service, or the inclination for hearing and chanting. They little bit they nudge in, and more the jiva then comes in contact, remains in association of devotees, and takes up the devotion practices, more he makes progress then. But in the beginning, some push is required because he had forgotten his relationship with Krishna. So that push is given by Guru, and Guru Krishna Prasade Pai. So by Krishna mercy, one jiva meets a Guru, and by Guru's mercy, he meets Krishna. And then he gets this impetus. Krishna bhakti kara yahai sabara santosha, Vedanta na shune kene tarakiba dosha. Dear sir, there is no objection to your being a great devotee of Lord Krishna. Everyone is satisfied with this. But why do you avoid discussion on the Vedanta Sutra? What's the fault in it? Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur comments on this connection. Mayavadi sannyasis accept that the commentary by Sri Shankaracharya, known as Sharirak Bhashya, gives the real meaning of the Vedanta Sutra. In other words, Mayavadi sannyasis accept the meanings expressed in the explanations of the Vedanta Sutra by Shankaracharya, which was based on monism. Thus, they explain the Vedanta Sutra, the Upanishads, and all such Vedic literatures in their own impersonal way. The great Mayavadi sannyasi Sadananda Yogendra has written a book known as Vedanta Sar, in which he writes, Vedanta Nama Upanishad Pramanam. According to Sadananda Yogendra, the Vedanta Sutra and Upanishads, as presented by Sri Shankaracharya in his Sharirak Bhashya commentary, are the only sources of Vedic evidence. Actually, however, Vedanta refers to the essence of Vedic knowledge. It's not a fact that there is nothing more than Shankaracharya's Sharirak Bhashya. There are other Vedanta commentaries written by Vaishnavacharyas, none of whom follow Sri Shankaracharya or accept the imaginative commentary of his school. Their commentaries, means Vaishnava commentaries, are based on the philosophy of duality. Two, not one. Monist philosophers like Shankaracharya and his followers want to establish that God and the living entity are one. And instead of worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they present themselves as God. They want to be worshipped as God by others. Such persons do not accept the philosophies of Vaishnavacharyas, which are known as Shuddha Advaita, which is purified monism, Shuddha Dvaita, purified dualism, Vishishta Advaita, specific monism, and Dvaita Dvaita, monism and dualism. And then further comes Achintya Veda Vedtattva. So, yes, different commentaries, one by Ramanujacharya, by Nimbarkacharya, by Vishnu Swami, and by Madhvacharya, Dvaita Dvaita. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave Achintya Veda Vedtattva. So Mahaprabhu took 2 points from every Acharya's commentary. And then he gave his, but he took 2 points from every Acharya, Vaishnava Acharyas. Mayavadis do not discuss these philosophies, being firmly convinced of their own philosophy of Keval Advaita, or exclusive monism. Accepting this system of philosophy as a pure understanding of the Vedanta Sutra, they believe that Krishna has a body made of material elements and that the activities of loving service to Krishna are sentimentality, just emotional, one get emotional. They are known as Mayavadis because, according to their opinion, Krishna has a body made of Maya. Maya means material elements. And the loving service of the Lord, executed by devotees, is also Maya. They consider such devotional service to be an aspect of fruitive activities, karma kanda. According to their view, bhakti consists of mental speculation or sometimes meditation. This is the difference between Mayavadi and Vaishnava philosophies. Now, even the Vaishnava philosophies, they all are on Vedanta Sutra, given by Vedvyasi. No, Vedanta Sutras are same, they don't change. What changes is the commentary. Now, even in Vaishnava philosophies, every Acharya has given according to his realization. Vaishnava realization, but nevertheless, all the 4 Acharyas have given different commentary. And there are more commentaries also, Vaishnava Acharyas. So even the Vaishnavas can have differences. Depending upon their realizations. And that is why when we were studying Bhagavatam, Prabhupada mentioned at one of the places that we just respect the differences and still keep going. So then why Gaudiya Vaishnavism philosophy? First of all, it's given by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who's the Supreme Lord himself, and he's a Yuga avatar for this day and age, for Kali Yuga. He didn't give the whole commentary. Commentary was given by Baldev Vidyabhushan as Govinda Bhashya, Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy. But Mahaprabhu's teachings made the basis of that commentary. So we follow that because, well, we follow Srila Prabhupada. Well, our connection with Gaudiya Vaishnavism is through Srila Prabhupada. So we might say, oh, I don't know the philosophy properly. Yeah, we don't know everything properly, but at least we know this word, achintya bheda bhed tattva. So bhed abhed. So at the same time, we are same and different from Krishna. This is our basis of the philosophy. So other acharyas have given different viewpoints because based on their realizations, obviously, and which is all correct. Only Prabhupada comments on Shankaracharya's philosophy. He said that's not correct. So even though we don't know the details, so we're trying to understand. At this point, we should understand. We are same and different at the same time, simultaneous, one and different. So we are one in the sense with Krishna as we are spiritual, and different that we are infinitesimal and he is infinite. Other than that, if we know more, great. Otherwise, at least this much we should always remember. Even if somebody talks to us, this much, we can convincingly tell him. Eta shuni hasi prabhu balila vachan, dukha namanaha yadi kari nevedan. After hearing the Mayavadi sannyasis speak in that way, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu smiled slightly and said, my dear sirs, if you don't mind, I can say something to you regarding Vedanta philosophy. See, again, took a very humble position. And although now when he speaks on Vedanta philosophy, he'll just defeat everybody. The Mayavadi sannyasis, appreciating Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, inquired from him why he did not discuss Vedanta philosophy. Actually, however, the entire system of Vaishnava activities is based on Vedanta philosophy. Vaishnavas do not neglect Vedanta, but they do not care to understand Vedanta on the basis of the Sharirak Bhashya commentary. Therefore, to clarify the situation, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, with the permission of the Mayavadi sannyasis, wanted to speak regarding Vedanta philosophy. The Vaishnavas are by far the greatest philosophers in the world, and the greatest among them was Srila Jiva Goswami Prabhu, whose philosophy was then presented less than 400 years later by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj. Therefore, one must know very well that Vaishnava philosophers are not sentimentalists or cheap devotees like the Sahajas. All the Vaishnava acharyas were vastly learned scholars who understood Vedanta philosophy fully. But unless one knows Vedanta philosophy, he cannot be an acharya. This is a strict standard. To be accepted as an acharya among Indian transcendentalists who follow the Vedic principles, one must become a vastly learned scholar in Vedanta philosophy, either by studying it or hearing it. Then he can be accepted as an acharya. And the way Prabhupada has given his commentaries were based on the other acharyas' commentaries, but he has given his realizations. He has put in his words. So, Prabhupada is an Acharya. That's why he was given this title, Bhakti Vedanta. We say, na, A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. So, Bhakti Vedanta. So, he had both Bhakti and he knew Vedanta. Not an, just a sentimentalist, sentimentally they gave him that title. No, no. They looked at his qualities, looked at his scholarship, his knowledge of the scriptures, of the Vedanta. And in Vrindavan, he was given this title, Bhaktivedanta. Bhakti develops in pursuance of Vedanta philosophy. This is stated in Srimad Bhagavatam. Tatshraddhana munyo jnana vairagya yuktaya pashyanti atmani cha atmanam bhaktya shruta grihitaya. The words bhaktya shruta grihitaya in this verse are very important, for they indicate that bhakti must be based upon the philosophy of the Upanishads and Vedanta Sutra. Shruta. Shruta means Shruti scriptures. So bhakti must be based on that. It cannot just happen sentimentally. Srila Rupa Goswami said, Shruti Smriti Purana Adi Pancharatra Vidhim Vina Ekantiki Harera Bhakti Utpate Vikalpate. Devotion service performed without reference to the Vedas, Puranas, Pancharatras, etc. must be considered sentimentalism, and it causes nothing but disturbance to the society. So it has to be based on scriptures. Not, okay, I think it could be that and I think it is that. No way. That is not bhakti. There are different grades of Vaishnavas, Kanishtadhikari, Madhyam Adhikari and Uttam Adhikari. But to be a Madhyam Adhikari preacher, one must be a learned scholar in the Vedanta Sutra and other Vedic literatures, because when Bhakti Yoga develops on the basis of Vedanta philosophy, it is factual and steady. In this connection, we may quote the translation and purport of the words mentioned above. That Shraddhana Munya. So the translation was, the seriously inquisitive student or sage, well equipped with knowledge and detachment, realizes that absolute truth by rendering devotion service in terms of what he has learned, what he has heard from the Vedanta Shruti. So equipped with knowledge and detachment, realizes that absolute truth by rendering devotion service. How? In terms of what he has heard from Vedanta Shruti. So not on his own he has come up with something. No. The absolute truth is realized in full by the process of devotional service to the Lord, Vasudeva, or the personality of Godhead, who is a full-fledged absolute truth. Brahman is his transcendental bodily effulgence and Paramatma is his partial representation. As such, Brahman or Paramatma realization of the absolute truth is but a partial realization. So Prabhupada goes and of course he just copied everything from what he had given Bhagavatam earlier, with lots and lots of technical knowledge. So should I read the whole purport, or it's lots of technical knowledge? We'll just go towards the end of the purport of this one. So unless therefore devotional service is established on the principles of Shruti, Smriti, Puran and Pancharatra authorities. Now Pancharatra here means Narad Pancharatra. The make show of devotional service should at once be rejected. An unauthorized devotee should never be recognized as a pure devotee. By assimilation of such messages from the Vedic literatures, one can see the all-pervading localized aspect of the personality of Godhead within his own self constantly. So one can see the all-pervading localized aspect of the personality of Godhead, that is Paramatma, within his own self constantly. This is called samadhi. So everything should be based on scriptures. That's the whole point. And this is what Mahaprabhu is going to tell them. Iha shuni bale sarva sanyasira gan, toma ke dekhiye yache sakshata narayan. Hearing this, the Mayavadi sannyasis became somewhat humble and addressed Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as Narayan himself, who they all agreed he was. Because they all greet each other as Namo Narayan. When they meet each other, they say, oh, you're Sakshat Narayan. For them, everybody is God. Everybody is Narayan. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he is different. First, he showed so much of effulgence from his body. And then he is speaking so humbly, so softly, and so much on the basis of scriptures. So they had to agree, he's Narayan. Mayavadi sannyasis address each other as Narayan. Whenever they see another sannyasi, they offer him respects by calling Om Namo Naranaya. I offer my respects unto you, Narayan. Although they know perfectly well what kind of Narayan he is. Narayan has 4 hands, but although they're puffed up with the idea of being Narayan, they cannot exhibit more than 2. Since the philosophy declares that Narayan and an ordinary human being are on the same level, they sometimes use the term Daridra Narayan, poor Narayan, which was invented by a so-called Swami who did not know anything about Vedanta philosophy. Therefore, although these Mayavadi sannyasis who called themselves Narayan were actually unaware of the position of Narayan. Due to their austerities, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu enabled them to understand him to be Narayan himself. And austerities, they performed austerities, and Prakashanand Saraswati ended up serving Mahaprabhu by picking him up from where the people were washing their feet. The Mahaprabhu sat there, and Prakashanand Saraswati took him inside and let him sit at the proper place. Lord Chaitanya is certainly the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayan, appearing as a devotee of Narayan. And thus the Mayavadi sannyasis, understanding that he was directly Narayan himself, whereas they were false, puffed up Narayans, so-called Narayans, spoke to him as follows. And now, most of the people follow this philosophy of you're God, I'm God, everybody's God. So that's why Prabhupada and Mahaprabhu also said, Mayavadi Bhashya Sandeh Hoy Sarvanash. And Prabhupada was very careful and very heavy on his disciples, not just to go here and there. Follow the Vaishnava philosophy. First get fully fixed up. So that is why there's not a hard restriction, but soft kind of restriction or expectation that we don't mingle with Mayavadi followers. So one thing to know that, I mean, those who put on 3 lines, horizontal lines on their forehead, that's definitely Mayavadi. Definitely. So better not get confused. And then there are so many, we'll think they are like devotees. Even they could be chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra. But their goal of chanting Hare Krishna is to become Krishna. but to become God. Our goal is to become servant of Krishna, a pure servant of Krishna. I'm just telling again and again, where Prabhupada always gives lots of stress on these purports. Whenever there is some hint of Mayavad is there. So some things they say, and we should, our switch should go off right away. Yes, this is Mayavadi. One is that Om Namo Naranaya. Second is So Aham. If you hear this, So Aham, somebody saying So Aham, just understand, he is Mayavadi. You don't have to run away, but just be careful. So Aham, it means is I am that. I am that means I am God. So there's a funny incident. I think Prabhupada said that, or I'm not sure who said that. So there was once these two people, one is Vaishnava and other is Mayavadi, and they were having debate, philosophical discussion. And it was getting hot and hot. Philosophical, it became argument. So this Mayavadi philosopher, he could not defeat the Vaishnava. So he on the board he wrote, So Aham. I am that. So the devotee went, and in front of So, he wrote Da, means Daso Aham. So he is correct in his philosophy that I am a servant. So Mayavadi again got up. He wrote Sa in front of Da. So it became Sada, So Aham. I'm always that. Now he looked at the Vaishnava. He was thinking, no, this devotee cannot refute this, he cannot defeat me. And devotee went again and he wrote Da in front of Sa. He said, Das, Dasua. I'm servant of his, of him. So this argument will always be there, always. And sometimes they say, Aham Brahmasmi. I am Brahmasmi, or I am spiritual. So devotees also say Aham Brahmasmi, but Krishna is Parabrahma. We are Brahman, or we are spirit soul, but Krishna is Parabrahma. We are not Parabrahma. So subtle points one has to understand. And then these, I'm not saying they're not wonderful people. They're wonderful people in material terms. But the philosophy they follow is something we should not. So if we hear these words, Soham, Aham Brahmasmi, Om Namo Naranaya, just have a huge defensive shield raised up. I'm not going to listen to the philosophy. And many leading, so-called leading leaders, scholars, they follow this. And that's also where people get confused. They're the scholars, big scholars and rich people, they're following this. If we also follow, what's wrong with that? Well, it is wrong. Simple as that. Just because they're big people they're following, it doesn't make sense. Yes, Vaishnava philosophy, it will take time to set up and so the more people follow it, slowly, it will happen by the efforts of preaching. It will happen, but it's taking time. It will take time. Okay, so I guess I can stop here. See anybody has any questions or comments?
Hare Krishna. Prabhuji,
Hare
thank you,
Krishna.
Prabhuji. Many
Thank
points got clear today because these points generally, bothered us. So thank you.
Thank you, Mata. Chalo, you all have a safe and wonderful day. Hare Krishna, Jai Shri Ram.
Hare Krishna, Jai Shri Prabhupada.